everyone. Welcome to another episode of GTV. And today we have a really interesting topic. So this is something that I want to learn more about. So it's UX for small businesses. So in my mind, kasi when we talk about UX, what I think about is like design and graphics, the look and feel of your website. So I'm not sure if this is what it really means. So I've invited like three ladies to help me out explain what UX and even UI means. Okay, we have Din, San Diego, Kringle Garcia, and Janyl Tamayo. So hi ladies, how are you?
Hello.
Kind of
Thank
but we're fine.
you. Well,
Thank you for having us.
yes.
Happy Saturday. Yeah, thank you. Take two. By the way, for our viewers, we actually recorded this like a couple of weeks ago. But yeah, for some reason, the file got corrupted. So we're doing it again. So thank you so much for allowing me to do this again with you. So maybe you can introduce yourself. So let's start with Din.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Din. My background's in content strategy and content management. Currently, I'm in the research team with UXPH, and I'm learning UX research within the organization. So, yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Din. Next, Kringle.
Hi, so my name is Kringle. Advanced Merry Christmas at this point with us. Yeah, but anyway, so I'm currently working at Globe, focused on the B2B side, specifically actually for the SMEs. So this is like a perfect fit on that. And then aside from that, I'm the volunteer lead for UXPH. And it's been amazing. So of course, content plugin. Sorry, just a little bit of a plugin. If you want to volunteer with us, we will welcome you. Super.
Nice. That's nice. Okay, Janyl, how about you?
Hi, I'm Janyl. I currently work as a UX designer at NextPay, which is a startup locally that helps business payments easier for MSMEs. Also, I'm the community/events lead at UXPH. So yes, join us and volunteer.
Yeah, that's great. So you both mentioned, well, the three of you mentioned UXPH. So before we talk about the topic, maybe you can tell us more about this community that you belong.
So you wanna go Kringle?
Anyway, it's like, oh, who's gonna go
Energy.
with that? So anyway, so shucks, I should have placed that in the notes. But yeah, so UXPH is the largest community of basically like a design community here in the Philippines. And it's great because we cater to really a lot of people, not just UX designers. Some of them are students, some of them are business analysts and project managers. So it's pretty far. So everyone is really welcome to the group as long as really you have an interest in UX design or in trying to learn more on how you can make your products more user-centric. So our main thrust is really on how we can spread awareness about UX throughout the whole nation. Because what we want to do is through the events that we have, by educating more and more people, we believe that their skills and knowledge would basically increase, enabling them to create better products and services that will in turn serve pretty much the whole country. So there. Yes, almost forgot. We have a conference this coming November 14th to 15th.
Sorry, when is it? November
14th and 15th. So it's an online conference. Janyl is, as the events lead, could probably talk more about it as well. So passing the baton to you.
This is going to be our 5th annual conference for UXPH. This year, our theme is Designers as Navigators for Change, of change. So we're going to talk more about how we as designers can influence the products and services that are being put out to the world, and especially with this current pandemic, what have we been doing and how have we been, affecting, the products and services that we've been putting out. So yeah, join us this November 14th to 15th.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
feel
we'll put
free to
the
learn.
link now. We'll put the link. I'll ask you
Yeah.
ladies for the link, so we'll put the link in the show notes below. So how long has this been? No? The like in existence, the community.
Ooh.
If I remember correctly, it
Um,
was 2011. So we are
2011.
actually approaching our 10th year, guys.
Oh
So
wow, that's
we
right.
Wow.
should like
Wow, that's great. So
celebrate.
that yeah,
Yeah.
so that's why you mentioned this is the fifth year for the conference,
yes.
right?
And I
Wow.
believe currently we're at 5,000 members straight.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow,
5,000 plus
that's a
likes.
huge community.
milestone.
All right, but I think like for us business owners now, we'd love to know more about UX and UI. So maybe take us through like the basics. I know that the people who are watching might be interested to join the conference, but maybe give us a glimpse right now on what UI and UX is about.
Okay. Oh,
Oh,
okay. Maybe
Yeah.
I can give like a simplified version of it because I'm pretty new at it, and I'll probably like just say how I understand it. So, how I understand what UX design is. So, UX stands for user experience, and user experience encompasses the what, when, why, where, who, and how people use a certain product or service. And UX encompasses also the interactions of a user with that product. And a UX designer specific ideally would design all those interactions with that product.
Mm.
So yeah, for that's like a simplified under like definition of it. But Janyl and Kringle, if you'd like to add to that.
I guess just to add just a little bit, because
Mhm.
I feel that Den was really able to give a really good explanation of what it is, at least for UX design. I think what most people don't realize is that UX design isn't exactly equal to UI design, because it's a, if you think about it, UX design is like the mother umbrella, if you will, and then UI design is just a part of that.
Okay.
Yes.
So if you look at it, UX design starts really even from the business strategy, from the goals and everything on how things should work, on why things should be created to begin with. And then UI design comes pretty much at the last step on how you could make it. UI design deals more with the visuals
Mm.
on how basically things are arranged, but on how the product works, on how things, why are things placed here, placed there, why is this why are these the information placed in certain areas, that deals more on the UX side of things.
Oh,
So
all right.
Janine,
And
So yeah. So when you mentioned the design, no, so the perception that I had a while ago was actually more of the UI side. Is that it? Yeah.
yeah, because yeah, UI is very, I think it's really just mainly on the interface already, which is why user interface design. That's
Oh,
what UI design means. Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
but
it's
UX
more,
is
it's more of the
really.
visual side. Sorry, you were gonna say something about Kringle?
Oh no, I was just gonna say that UX design is really on how it works. Yes. But Janelle, please.
Yeah. And also add to like the UX. I think it's not just about designing products, but also you have to think about the business, right? Without the business, you can't really design anything ideally or realistically. So it's also about figuring out the wider company and sort of how fit into your company goal as well.
Yeah. That's nice. So yeah, so I noticed that you all have different roles or different titles. Like Din is the researcher, Kringle is the architect, and Janelle is the designer. So maybe like for those who are in school about to graduate, like what looking at this industry, so maybe give them like an overview of why you have different titles and what's it about.
Sure. Maybe I can start for the researcher role. Okay, so the ultimate goal of a UX researcher is to give a deeper understanding of your service and product in relation to your target users. And I'd like to bucket the objectives of conducting user research. One is to ensure that your design is truly relevant. And how can you ensure that your design is truly relevant? It would be by understanding who your target users are. And you do that, and when you understand their attitudes, beliefs, and motivations, you're connecting their a user's relevance to your product.
Mm.
A second objective for conducting research is to ensure that your design is pleasurable and easy to use. And research helps in identifying the ease of use by conducting, like, say, a usability test. With a usability test, you're able to pinpoint, you're giving the user tasks in the test to complete. So you're able to pinpoint what are their pain points, what are some barriers to success, and what are some specific times on task. So that's something UX research can help with. And third would be to create actionable insights that can better inform your UX design. And also, okay, just last, a better understanding of your ROI of your UX design. So examples of ROI of UX design would be, does this button or does this copy or navigation sequence in turn increase your conversion rate in your website? Or is there an increase in revenue? Or is there an increase in return of visitors? So these are the things that a UX researcher would conduct in every stage of the design process.
Nice. Okay.
Okay.
How about
I
you?
just want to add as
Yeah,
well,
go ahead.
like all that research can also help the business sort of figure out like the direction they want to go. And also as a designer, it can help you get buy-in from your, I guess, stakeholders, because you know exactly what are the, I guess, pros and cons of each design decision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So gone are the days when you'd say like a design is, oh, this is so pretty. So
Yeah,
you
so it's
really just
definitely not just.
yeah, exactly. So it's not just the aesthetics that you're thinking of or looking at right now, but it's really down to how does it drive business results, right?
Yes.
I
And it
love
speaks to a lot of the psychology of your customers as well. Like, of course, your customers have different sort of contexts that they're in. So you will, from UX research, you'll better understand your customers more and you can better serve them. Yeah.
Okay. How about for you, Janyl? As a designer, what do you do?
So actually, Kringle and I talked about our positions, and it's pretty similar in that we look at, I guess, the product and figure out the interactions. But what was I gonna say? Like, it's more just the title that's different.
Okay.
Can you maybe elaborate more?
Or maybe what do you focus on? Like, for example, like Claudine, Din, talagang Claudine. Din is more focused on like basically talking to the end consumers, like in a big organization, I suppose.
Yeah.
Din talks to the user, does usability tests, and then for you, designer, is it more of the UI that you do?
So actually for me, since I work at a startup, it's more, I do a little bit of everything.
Everything. Okay.
Yeah. So I have done a little bit of UX research, like going out and talking to your customers and figuring out how they've been using the product, etc. And also coming back to the company and figuring out their goals and sort of bridging that into what we're going to be, I guess, pushing out at the next cycle.
Okay, got it. And then for an architect, I mean, you work for a big telco company, Kringle, right? So in terms of like, I understand where Janyl is coming from. Like, you do a lot of things. That's why you couldn't like, what? What's my difference? Yeah. So exactly. So, but in a big organization like the telco that you're part of, like, how does it work? In your case,
how does it work is that for the UX architect, we're the main business liaisons. So that using the research coming from our user research team, we basically try to form out what is the ideal experience for our customers. So we do workshop, and we facilitate workshops, and then we plan out on how the customer journey should be, and so that when the business does certain projects, when they have things that they'd want to pursue, they have like a roadmap in a sense of what they can follow. So we're the ones who's in charge of the customer journey, the service blueprint. I feel like these are all very technical terms. I just realized. I'm so sorry. if you could always try to search man on Google, but aside from that, it's more on bridging the customer with the business and ensuring that while obviously the business have their own goals, it's
Yeah.
ensuring that the customer is always in the seat, that the customer is always in focus. And because sometimes when projects are being delivered, there's already a sense that we have to deliver this. So they have a checklist that they have to go through and everything. So our role as the experience architects is to ensure that one, the customer is always in mind, that it's never forgotten. And then another thing is that because it is a big organization, it's ensuring that one system here should connect to the other, and ensuring that the overall customer experience on how they relate with our company would be as would be good as much as possible.
Yeah, so seamless as possible, right?
Yeah, at least that's what we're trying to pursue. But then again, obviously, because it is a big company, sometimes with the differing priorities, there are times that there are things that are highlighted more, and then
Yeah.
things that will be done maybe at a later time. So yeah.
Nice. It's interesting to see like the difference really in terms of like how a small organization does it versus like a huge organization. So we may get into that in a little bit, no? But maybe since a lot of the viewers here are small businesses, maybe take us through like what are the first few steps that they need to do. So what are the mandatories when it comes to really thinking about UI and UX for the organization?
So a first step that they can do, so as Janyl and Kringle mentioned, it's really to have a deeper understanding of who your users are. A first step would be to interview them to understand what are their thoughts and beliefs and attitudes. And aside from interviewing them, it would be also great to observe them as they use your product. It's difficult now given the pandemic, but then there are workarounds. There's remote virtual Zoom access to use your product, so you're able to monitor how they're able to tinker around your website, and that's how remote usability tests are being done right now. And third would be simply, it would be great to have a feedback form to give that can give you quick insights to what they're thinking about your career, your product, your event, or your service too. So that would be like my 3 tips, I guess. One would be to interview them, get to know them, just have a casual conversation with them in order to get insights. Second would be to observe them using your product. And third would be a feedback form. Those are like 3 simple steps to better understand who your target users are in
That's
the research perspective.
Yeah, that's interesting, you know, because like as business owner, we often fail to think of closing the loop oftentimes because what we are so concerned with, especially now during this pandemic, is to get like a lot of sales, diba? We need to get a lot of revenues, and then we fail to realize that we didn't close the loop, we didn't get the feedback for customers. So it's good that you mentioned that, so that our viewers who are business owners and even the staff or the employees of these business owners will realize that that is a very important step, because you don't want talking about metrics. Now you have your, obviously you have your awareness metrics, you have your let's say conversions and even retention, and you don't want to get to that point that you push and push your product without really seeing if they love, I mean, their feedback, without getting their feedback, and then you realize that you have a leaky bucket, right? And then you can't, like, you don't know what to do anymore, because you lose more customers than you win customers, right? So yeah, that's interesting that you mentioned that. Any other thoughts on where should they start, Kringle and Jan?
I guess I can add a little bit more in relation to that, because I do feel that's where UX really shines. While I feel marketing has a lot to do with acquiring customers, UX has a lot to do with keeping those customers inside of your customer base. Because what's so sad is that your advertising, your marketing is like so awesome, and then once the people actually get to try your product, customer experience is bad. And that isn't really something good, because I remember someone, I forgot who said this. I'm so sorry, but there's a quote that I remember seeing before, that most of your profits would actually come from your existing customers and not from your new customers. So the more that you take care of your existing customers, the more that you're able to actually generate really even more sales and even more revenue from that. So it's like, as you improve your customer experience, as you possibly do usability tests, which is basically talking to your customers, seeing, letting them use your product and seeing what their pain points are. It really allows you to see the things that needs to be improved and cater your product better to what they really need. And that's something that would really enable you to even really grow. I'm reminded of, for example, for Apple, for example, with the iPhone, their marketing is super awesome. But I feel like the reason why they have such a cult following is because their product is really good.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, I'm more of a Google fan. I don't have an iPhone. I don't have something like that. But I do highly look up to how they do their whole ecosystem, on how everything is so connected from one product to another. And because of that, the customer experience is so easy. I mean, even when you open the product, when you receive, right, if you buy an iPhone, right, or you buy one of their products, the packaging is so awesome, everything is so good. And then it's so funny because my brother, also, basically my brother, we're both fans of Google. But now that he's working at Apple, he's like, now I know the reason why people go to this company so much. It's because the user experience, they really take into account everything. And I think for a small business owner, I think, just like what Den mentioned earlier, just really be mindful of your customer and know their pain points, know what they want, and then fit your product on how you would be able to cater to that.
Yeah.
And really see how you can improve your product and really improve your relationship with them.
Yeah. From my perspective, no, Janyl, I guess this question naman is for you because you're part of a startup. No? So Kringle mentioned with Apple, there are a lot of the nitty gritty details that you need to take consideration and look at. No? But then obviously it will take resources, diba? Like for small businesses like us, we can't have every single person like, you take care of, example lang, a bad example, but you take care of the box, I take care of the product, or I take care of the interface. So maybe from your perspective, what do you think are the most important things that you really can't do without when it comes to UI UX if you're part of a startup?
I think it really depends on the situation. I think you as a business need to figure out, I guess if you're an early startup, then you have to have like an MVP out. So with that, your priorities, of course, would be just to get something workable, I guess, released. So that's, I guess, what you're going to prioritize. But if, let's say, you're at a more late stage when you have more resources, that's when you can allocate more, I guess, resources on the more tiny stuff, as in, let's say, more making the UI fit the brand or something like that. But if you're an early stage startup like us, we actually use Google Material Design as a starting point for our UI, just because like it works, people already know about it. But we're more, I guess, focused on really making the product more robust and making sure that there's a need for a product and figuring out, or like understanding, I guess, our current customers.
Yeah. So maybe Janyl, Den, and Kringle, what are the tools that helped you when, like, I don't know, no, like there are a lot of tools because right now, right? For you mentioned Zoom for remote calls and usability tests. What are these tools that can actually help a small business owner automate like a lot of things so that they won't basically spend on more resources? So if there are like available tools out there, maybe you could like share some of these tools that you use so that people can, I mean, you don't have to explain, but they can just Google it. But this would be a great list for them to begin with.
Okay. So quickly, just for research, there's Mural. If you want to like conduct workshops and you like to get feedback from your entire team when it comes to like sorting out themes within your interviews, Mural's a great tool to add in like post-it notes all together, and you're all working on like the same like dashboard. And then second helpful tool for conducting remote usability tests would be the remote Zoom control. I know it's free for Zoom, so you're able to give access to the person to toggle on to do tasks on your website.
Oh,
I
cool.
think that's a really interesting tool, and you're able to record it too. And I guess one of the nuances is you really need to look at them as they do the task, because those are your observations and it's through like the Zoom call.
Yeah.
Right? So like little things like if they're going like that, or it tells you a lot about how they're digesting whatever task you're giving them to do also. So yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, I want to add into that actually.
Yes.
So
okay.
that's a really good point. Like, it's not just about what they're doing, but also like how they're acting. Because sometimes people are not very upfront about what they think. So you also have to look at their body language, and that will also tell you the how they're actually feeling.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's true.
Great.
Mhm.
Any other?
In terms of tools, there's a lot of like new tools like Figma, Adobe XD for like prototyping
Yeah.
in groups. It's sort of like Google Docs, but for prototyping. But you don't really need to, I guess. Well, they're free, but you still, I guess, you'll need that invest time, I guess, to learn it. And I don't think you really need to go that far if you're pretty new. In terms of, let's say, prototyping your app, you can just use paper and maybe just show it.
That's true. Yeah.
And if they say, then to do the different screen and stuff. But yeah, definitely look into like guerrilla testing, or yeah, some simple things like paper prototyping would work. There's was it Envision app, I think, where you can just do paper prototypes, take a photo of it, and then I guess not code, but it's like a drag and drop thing. But when they click this, it'll go to a different screen. So that's, I guess, the next step to before Figma or Adobe XD.
So something like Marvel, right? They also use that.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go through.
Add just a little bit on that. I think I know there are a lot of UX tools, but I feel like even something as simple as Google Form and giving out that survey, as mentioned earlier by Din, would really be helpful already. And if maybe you could have a question there asking about if they would be free to have, obviously not coffee because quarantine, but maybe if they're free to have like a call, like a Zoom call with you, then that would be very useful already on finding out what are their thoughts, how are they using your product and everything. There's a book that I remember someone mentioning, Aldrich, one of our, well, technically he's the managing director of UXPH now. He was recommending the MOM test, as in the MOM test, because I think one of the apprehensions at the start is, what questions do I ask? How do I ask this? Oh no. So they've been mentioning that, I've heard a lot of people say that's a really good book, wherein it helps them to know what questions should be asked at a particular time. So something as simple as that, I think the SMEs can already start with that already to be able to get to learn more about their users.
I love it. The mom test, right? MOM test.
Plus one recommendation. So it's not gonna only teach you how, like, what to ask, but also how to ask it, because it makes a lot of difference on how you ask certain questions. I was gonna say something else, but I don't remember anymore.
Okay. So in terms of like how about, what have you seen in the market that the mistakes, sorry, what are the mistakes that you've seen in the market that SMEs do, in terms of like UI UX? And maybe to add to that, sorry, not just mistakes, no, but maybe like the differences also, like before the pandemic, before the situation that we have right now, like if you've seen any differences, maybe you can share those things.
Let's see. I had two thoughts earlier, but now I'm just remembering one. So I hope I remember the second
Let's go
one.
with you first. Let's go
Okay,
with
so,
the first one. Yeah.
excuse me. So two thoughts. At least this is on the common mistakes. Like, one is that you are not your user. So I think a lot of people feel that because they're the ones who are designing the product, obviously, or service, they're very invested in it. You know, I believe in this. That's why I have a business for this, and I'm gonna share it to the whole world because it's a really awesome thing. However, what most people make a mistake on is that they feel that what would cater to them would cater to everyone. And that's why we've been harping on the idea of know your user, because by knowing your user, you'll be able to really be able to cater more to what their needs are. I think the second thing that it came upon me not earlier, I hope I remember it now. The second thing was yeah, if it gets back to me, I will share it again. But yeah, sorry.
No, it just reminded me of something. That's a reason why I hate anecdotal evidence. Like people can just say, "Ah, this is what he or she or he said," but it's just from one person. And diba, it's not just you.
Yeah.
The way you said that, diba, Kringle, na you are not your user, and also one user is not the entire user base. Just to
Yeah.
add to that, yeah. So yeah, that's true. That's true. I totally agree.
Yeah, okay, I finally remember. Thank you, Lord. I think the second one was more on producing something immediately without testing it. So I know the MVP is a good thing. It's something, obviously, you don't place in all the features immediately because it's going to take a really, really long time. But even with the MVP, I feel like there should be some level of testing that should be done to see if the people are actually able to use your product to begin with before you develop everything and ship it out to everyone. So because again, obviously, with the research, for example, for SMEs, time and money are the most important resources for SMEs. So sayang, you're basically wasting your money and your time and your effort if you just do something without consulting the people who will likely use your product.
That's
So to be able to ensure that you're able to maximize those resources, then it would be better if you would test it out first, and then once you see that, hey, okay, the market seems to really like this, and then you can ship it out and then iterate or improve it further moving forward.
Yeah, that's true. That's true because I've seen a lot of what do you call this, aspiring startup founders, like they really want to put in everything into their product, but they haven't really tested, or even they actually don't have any kind of prototype or MVP to show. So what happens is it takes them a while before they can launch their product, and then when they launch their product they find out that there are no paying customers. So yeah, maybe take that time to sort of test bits and pieces first, and then see how it goes, and then execute, and then test again, then execute. That's how you get somewhere. Yeah, right. Yeah.
We do it like quick and dirty style.
That's
You're
true.
a startup.
Yeah, that's true. So anything else? Like any observations? How about like what has changed from like the pre-pandemic pre-pandemic environment to what's happening right now in terms of like UI UX?
In terms of like conducting interviews, establishing rapport in an interview is so different when you're in person versus doing it virtually. When you're in a Zoom call, there's a different level of ease that you'd like to put your interviewee in. And we've evolved to like certain Zoom courtesies now. Like there's that quote, you see my screen. There are these little things that have really changed. And even like incentives are now digital. I mean, you can't just buy them a cup of coffee anymore. Little things like that. But then I feel like we're at the point where we're getting the hang of conducting these things now virtually. So I think those are my observances from
Yeah.
like what changed, especially when it comes to interviews.
Yeah, that's true. Because a lot of things really, no, it has changed, like a lot of behaviors of our customers. So I guess this is the time that parang I think double time tayo mga UI UX researchers and even all of us, no, all of us, because we need to once again see what's out there, what's happening to our customers, what behaviors have changed, what are they doing now, what are their goals, diba? So everything has changed. So this is the time when we need to like talk to them again and see what's happening. Definitely.
Funnily enough, no, I think now that they're forced to go digital, like a lot of people are more welcoming of the change, and I guess it's accelerating the change like throughout the industry, especially with payments. Because of the pandemic, we actually had increase in customers, and they're finding out, or they're much more accepting, I guess, of digital payments. And it's interesting to see, I guess, their attitudes change towards doing finances digitally.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So, okay, for my I guess for my last question, what are your tips for the small, medium enterprise, micro, small, and medium enterprises here and around the world, I guess? So, what tips can you give them in relation to what you see is coming in terms of your industry as well?
For me, just to
Yeah,
put it simply, just take time to really consider what value your product or service brings to your target users. And as mentioned earlier by Kringle and Janyl, and also you, Ginger, it's important to match business goals with user needs and kind of like balance it.
yeah,
Right.
I guess test often. uh, everybody's context changes quite a bit, or like even with this pandemic, right? We didn't, I guess, see that this is going to happen, and with the pandemic, everybody's context has changed, so that would also change the way they see your product, their behaviors, their attitudes. So I guess make sure to test and keep in touch with your customers. And I guess it's not a cautionary element. It's not a warning or anything, but just keep in mind that you are not your customers. Whatever works for you does not necessarily mean that it's going to work for everybody else.
yeah,
So I guess also pinpoint who are your customer base and figure out, I guess, not just a persona, but an idea of all their attitudes, behaviors, and contexts.
yeah.
And just
So
keep
you
that
can't
in
really
mind.
you're right. You
Yeah.
can't target everyone. That's true.
Yeah.
And Cream, any last thoughts and tips and advice?
It's also what Din and Janyl mentioned. It's really to keep on talking to your customers because at the end of the day, I think what's great with SMEs is that they're able to shift and pivot quickly compared to us larger corporations wherein we're like an elephant when it comes to shifting on things. But for SMEs, you have the capability to really shift to how your customers are currently reacting to be able to serve them even better. So the more that you're talking to them, the more that you're able to build your relationship with them. Because I think what customers are looking for now aren't just good products that they can use because there are so many alternatives in the market. But if you're able to differentiate yourself by being able to meet their needs and even shucks customer delight and basically parang really see parang if they feel that you really care about them,
Yes.
makes a big difference. Eh. And I feel like, sorry, I'm not sure if this is a good example because it's a big corporation. You see how San Miguel Corporation has been doing all of its efforts to help out in this pandemic. And I feel like everyone now has a really good image of them. And I think a lot of the people I know as well would want to use their products now more even than before because of what they have been doing, because of how supportive they are. And I feel like with SMEs, you have the capability to be able to really talk because you're still on the small side, to be able to really build relationships with your customers and really ensure that, as you continue to build your relationship, there's a possibility even that they would be with you for life because kilala ka na nila because they already were able to establish that with you. So yeah, so I guess for SMEs, keep on doing what you're doing. It's amazing how you guys been persevering during this pandemic. I know I think the SMEs were the ones who were the most hard hit, but I feel like you have a vision in mind, and because of that, because of what you're doing, I know that you guys will be able to move on and really be able to help out the customers that you're serving.
Yeah, thank you. That was great. Okay, so
One last.
Oh, yes, sure.
So yeah, definitely talk to your customers. Interestingly enough, they want to talk to you. They want to tell you about their problems and help you make your products better all the time. And don't make it perfect, just make it workable.
That's true.
And work through it. Yeah.
Just to add to that just a little bit, because Janyl raised a really great point. As you keep talking to them and as they share their pain points to you, as they share what delights them, there's a sense that you would even actually get more buy-in from them. That they feel that because they share their pain point and let's just say you did something about it, that hey, it was because of me, that's why your product improved. And they would be like this, maybe even an ambassador or a believer of your product that would enable them to even share it to their other friends possibly.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so there's this thing what you call the flywheel. So whenever like what you want to do is really get to that point where your customers become your advocates. So you really need UI, you really need UX, all of these things. To simplify it, yeah, you need to understand your customer so that you get to that point where they become advocates of your product. So there. So thank you so much, ladies. Any last? Do you want to announce again your conference? Say it again. Mention it again, probably. Yeah.
Kringle. No, you're the ball of energy. We need energy.
Yeah, I'm the talkative one. But yeah, so as mentioned, we'll be having our conference on November 14th, 15th. It's an online one, so no need to worry. You can check out our website or even our Facebook page /group to see more details about it. But especially if you want to learn more about UX, if you want to learn more, for example, I know there's going to be a topic there on how to do research in a remote sense. That's something you can definitely attend. And it would be great because you'd be able to connect with a lot of designers in the community as well. And hopefully, I don't know, for me, most designers are pretty friendly. They may be introverted. Well, a lot of us are introverted. There are some who are extroverts, but I'm sure they'd be willing to help out. So no worries. I hope that you guys can go. And if you also want to volunteer with us, because that is my domain in this organization, if you want to volunteer with us, feel free to do so. There's a link in our website. We hold several trainings for our volunteers. For example, earlier we just came from a training we're in on how to pitch your design to stakeholders. Because it's something everyone does. But I think pitching is something that is common even for other SMEs naman.
Yeah.
So
correct. Yeah.
learning is awesome.
Okay. Topics from different levels.
Yeah.
As well.
I love it. So okay, so I hope our viewers learned a lot today. If you like this video, kindly like, share, subscribe, and click that notification bell for more videos like this. So again, thank you, ladies. Thank you, Dan, Kringle, and Janyl for sharing
having us
today. Okay,
Thank
that's
you,
it.
Ginger.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.